Hey folks, welcome to another lecture, and today we are going to start building our UI components. We'll start off with the navigation bar at the top, and we'll see how we can leverage various types of design patterns over here. The most probable design pattern which I think is the composition, which we can leverage for creating the nav menu. And so let's get started. So over the components, I'll just create a new folder and call this as nav. Okay, and I'll create one file called as index.tsx and one file called as nav.tsx, and inside nav.tsx I'll just do rafce, and we don't need a react. We don't have to export default, we just have to do a named export nav, and we can get rid of this. Let's save this and let's clear everything over here, and from here I'll just say export nav from ./nav. Okay, so this way we can just import everything inside our pages and other steps from here itself. We don't really have to worry about any other place. And this is our page, this is our button stories, and all we want is that we want to render this navigation on the layout. So this is the place over here, and we obviously want to put it inside the auth provider. So I'll just import nav from components/nav. Okay, we have the nav over here, and I'm going to just render it right above all the children like this, and let's hit and not hit yarn, so yarn dev, and let's hit localhost 3000, and we can see the nav component over here. Now let's just style this to look it much better, and maybe I can put this at a side for parallel coding, and I can put this over here and put this over here. So let's start coding the navigation bar. So we have a div, I'll add a class name of bg nav. Okay, this is a fixed component. Okay, the w width would be screen width 100%, or w screen w full is not working. One second, let us check the tailwind classes. Width, so we have screen, w screen, so we have to write w screen, and we have to give it a height, so height maybe of 60 pixels. And why exactly is it not picking up? The bg nav was not being picked for some reasons. It is bg nav bg. Okay, yep, so now we can see it. This is the background color which we wanted. And what else we have? All right, Now this is the container of the nav. Okay, every nav item would be present over here. Now what it can do is it can take children. Okay, so and it, so you remember the composition pattern, right? It is really very simple. So whatever you want to pass as a child, as a children, it can be adjusted very easily. So this is a nav. Okay, and over here we have props, and so I'll just export, like destructure the props from over here. Then we are getting children, and we are going to render the children over here. Okay, and it says it has implicit of type any, which we'll fix in a moment. Okay, and this is our nav component, and we can also create other types of component like individual items like drop down and other stuffs. Let me show you the example as well. Okay, so what I mean by that was key inside this particular navbar you can have various type of components. The first can be the logo, then some navigation type menus, then a button, then a search bar, then a profile icon, then a way to switch toggle the theme. So you can see that a single navbar item is containing a lot of things around it. So for that we need to use the concept of composition, and it is going to be really amazing. So what we have to do is we just have to, let me go back. Yep, so let's go back, and over here what we have to do is we just have to add support of various type of items. Okay, so what I mean by that is, so this is the children, so this is the parent, and over here we have various kinds of items present over here, and each item can have certain amount of classes associated with it. So what we have to do is we have to head over here and call it as items, or we can call it as the item renderer. Okay, because each section has a particular space over here. So if you see, this is taking this this is at the very extreme left, this section is present at the very extreme right, and this section is present at the middle. So how exactly can we leverage to make this work? So what we have to do is we have this nav bar over here, and this will act as our parent. So I think it is a good idea to change it as nav container. And then we have another component called as const nav renderer. This is again a functional component. This would be taking props. Okay, and again from props we are going to extract the children, and then it has a div. We have to first return, so yeah, return a div with children. Okay, this is the nav renderer. And what exactly is okay, this is not the way the props would be here. This is the way. Yep, so we have the props, and this is the nav renderer. What nav renderer it will do is it will have all the navigation components. So each item which you see over here, by default they are justified space between. So, and in the mobile mode, if you can see that we have hidden we hide these items, and on the click of a hamburger the menu shows up from the bottom. So how exactly can we do is we first of all have to wrap everything. We just have to wrap everything inside a particular component so that it can be turned on and turned off. So over here I'll just give it as a class name, and this is going to be, yeah, so this is so this is a flex. And so since we are on a mobile design, so let's, we have to switch to mobile, and let me put that on the side so that we can leverage as much as we want. And let's refresh. So you can see that this is taking the complete width, and right now I want the menus, okay, the menus to be vertical in the column. So flex column, and since these items are going to be present vertically, so items center. And for small sizes and above, so small sizes is 640 pixels and above. So whenever you are making a mobile first design, let me tell you that you first write all the classes relevant to the mobile design first, and once that is done, you add classes for the behavior in the higher screens. So we said that the items are going to be having item center, align item centers for mobile devices. The moment it becomes a large device, be it a tablet or be it laptop screens, then we have to change it items. Okay, so justify between. Okay, justify between, and the border base, and we just have to add some border classes over here. Let's save this, and it is saying what it is saying, complaining about unsupported server component type undefined. Okay, let's see if we get any code art layout. If I comment this out, will the error be gone? No, the error is still there. So there is no children. Okay, I know what happened. So this is nav container now. Okay, and inside layout, this is not nav, this is a nav container. Okay, now it should be working. Yeah, and I think there is no issue with this. We can render components. So this is the nav renderer, and my agenda is to create a component which has all the layouts specified. Okay, so how will our final component look like? So our final component will look something like const nav equals to props. Okay, then we extract do we need children? No, we don't need children. We just return nav container. Okay, this nav container is having nav renderer. Okay, inside nav renderer we have items. Okay, so a simple item could be this heading, so nav logo, right? So we have const nav logo, and it is receiving some props. Okay, and it has certain props. We are not sure what these props are going to be in the final, so I'll just return a div saying JS Cafe. Okay, just for now, and we render this nav logo as our first item. And are we able to see this? Why is it not visible? Yeah, because we are not rendering this nav. Okay, let's call this as Navbar to make more sense. Let's save this and let's update the imports as well. Okay, and over here as well, Navbar. Okay, and you can see we have this thing called JS Cafe over here. This is working fine. And let's add more items. For example, if you check the app, you have this. Let's move to mobile versions. Okay, so if I click this, we have this JS Cafe, your work, projects, filters. These are kind of links. Okay, these are link buttons, and then we have two actionable items, CTA type of navigation, then we have a search type of navigation, and we have various types. Okay, so first of all, let's just hard code these values. Okay, then later on what we'll do is we'll use config to create a config, and we'll drive this menu from the config. Okay, so let me save this and let's format this also. I think this is looking fine. A little ugly, but it is fine. So we have this nav logo. Then we have a simple nav item. So I'll call this as const nav item. Okay, nav item. Okay, then we return a div. And what div is it containing? Okay, so we just have to again render the children. Okay, this is not over here, over here, and we render the children. Okay, then we have a nav item, and so if I render the nav item over here like this, okay, and I call this as your work for now, we can have this your work over here, and a similar component which I can render is projects and filters. Projects and filters. Okay, projects and filters. And what else? We have a CTA type button. But one thing, a problem which I see over here is that the moment we move to over here, okay, let's refresh, and let me increase this. So it should be stretched. Okay, it should be stretched and not like this. So what is the issue? Let's check. So it is item center is something I think causing the issue, but no. So this is flex call, and for SM this should be flex row. Okay, now the problem which you see, okay, let me change the color as well. So this is a nav item. Now let's apply a class. Okay, you can see that these are now at least visible, and background now text white, and similar style we want for the logo. Okay, this is JS Cafe, but the problem you see, right? The problem with this is, this is not, we only want a text white. Yep. So the problem with this approach is over here, you can see that these are all scattered, while on our application these are grouped. Okay, this is one group, this is another group, and this is another group, and all these groups are scattered or spaced between with each other. But this is not happening right now with the navigation bar. So what is the problem? The problem is that we are not able to create groups. Okay, we are not able to create groups. So we can create groups over here, and it is really very easy. So let's create a nav group over here. So I'll call this as const nav group props, and obviously it will render the children. Then we return a div with children, and over nav group we are going to apply some classes as well. So nav logo is one group, so logo is over here. Then another nav group would be containing all our menu items, these three items over here. Okay, now you can see that this is looking a little better. Now let's just copy this again and create another group. Okay, now these are equally spaced, but these are again vertical. Okay, this is not what we want. This thing, this is the nav renderer, this is flex column, this is flex row. Okay, but inside the nav group, we need to fix this. Okay, we need to fix this. So this has to be a flex call for the mobile devices. When it comes to big screens, it should becomes flex row. Is this happening? And we have to obviously add a flex, and this is working fine. And over here, for small, okay, for big screens, we need justify between. Okay, justify between, is it taking? So how much is the width being allocated right now? Let's check once. So this is our group. Okay, this is one group, this is another group, but these groups are not taking the complete widths. Okay, these are not taking the widths, they are having gaps. So each item is taking the space that is being present by the content, but we have to add some spacings between the items. So the good way to be do something like SM MR 3, margin right 3, and this looks a little better. And what else are we missing? So we have to like these items are not aligned properly, so we have to look into this as well. So items center, but the height is the problem. I think they are not taking the complete height, so we have to look. The problem is with the renderer. Okay, the renderer is not taking the complete height, so we can give height over somewhere over here at the start, h full. Okay, now this is a lot better. And we have added this items center. Do we need this? Yeah, we don't need this. This is looking just fine. Okay, this is JS Cafe, and we need to add some spacings and other stuffs. But if we move this to mobile and refresh, so this is what we are getting. But for mobile, I want this to take the complete height, right? This should take the complete height, and it should not look like this. Okay, this is not the way. So for mobile, let's see what is the problem over here. So this nav renderer is taking h full. Okay, so nav renderer is taking h full. Okay, but this h full should be for SM. Okay, this should be for SM, and otherwise it should take h screen. Okay, so the problem is with the height. Let's see if this is causing issues. Yeah, so the original height was only 60 pixels, and this is not what we wanted. Okay, so over here the exact problem which I identified was that if you remove the height from the nav container itself, so the nav container, the topmost parent, is not restricted to a certain width. Now inside the nav renderer can decide whether on mobile view I have to go full screen, or on the desktop I just have to go 60 pixels. So over here now it is really very easy. So for mobile I have to go screen, h screen, and for the desktop I just have to go 60 pixels. So to use pixels over here, just after hyphen, just add square brackets and type 60 pixels. So now over here you can see that in the mobile view it is spanning the entire height. The moment I switch to desktop, it is back at it is. Okay, this is working just fine. So this was the mobile view, and over here you can see that all the text are left aligned. We want them in the center. So how exactly can we do this? So this is the problem, I think, with the nav group. So this, if I just add item over here, maybe item center, yeah, this is fine. And if I go to screen, yeah, this is also fine. So we have got a really nice architecture of the navigation using the composition. Right now everything is static because right now I am focusing on the UI, and I could have, honestly, I could have copy pasted everything from the previous project, but I didn't, because you should understand the amount of pain or an amount of thought process it takes to even create simple components like these. So over here now my agenda is that for mobile screens I should have a hamburger over here, and this hamburger should be able to, when I click the hamburger, it should show this navigation menu, and when I tap it again it should hide it, something like this. So the hamburger should not be available for the desktop screens. Okay, but before that, to add space for hamburger, I think we need to use some sort of icons. And I think if you search Redux icons, okay, these are the type of icons which we can leverage. Okay, so first of all we have to install React icons in the Redux UI. So hit over here and hit yarn add Redux UI React icons. And what is Redux UI? So my friends, Redux UI is a UI component library which comes with bunch of stuffs. Okay, it comes with bunch of stuffs which you want to build. These are the primitives. If you go to primitives, you can see the various types of components, maybe over here. Yeah, so you can see the dialog box, drop down menu bar, sliders. If we click sliders, so this is the slider component. I'll try to use as much less this particular library and create our own custom solutions, because that's the fun. Okay, many of the big companies, they have their own design systems and they do not really use any kind of UI library. UI library became popular because, so we developers, when we create projects, we kind of avoid creating libraries, so we want some ready to use solutions. That is why these libraries are getting popular. But other than that, big companies don't really use these libraries or other stuffs. They create their in-house solutions, because at the end, behind the scenes, these components are also written by someone, right? These components are also written by someone, maybe in vanilla JS, maybe in React or whatsoever. But these components are really very easy to create, and you really don't need. Maybe I'll be only needing this library for the icons and maybe for the slider which we have in the mobile view. So if I switch to mobile, and let me just refresh again. So if you click this, okay, this is the library which I wanted to use. Maybe I am a little lazy to make this, but that's the only two case I can remember right now that will be using the Redux UI. So we have installed the icons over here. Coming back, let's search for hamburger menu. This is the hamburger menu. How can you import icons? Okay, this is very easy to use. Hamburger menu like this. Just copy this, come over here and add an import. Okay, and over here just use hamburger icon like this, and you just have to render the icon here directly. So where are we using hamburger? So hamburger icon would be present above the children. Okay, so this is the right place to render our hamburger icon. Let us save this and come back to the app. So you can see this hamburger icon over here. This is looking really nice. And yeah, let me grab the height width. So the height width would be 30 of this hamburger. Okay, then it has certain classes, so we have to deal with classes also. So class name, left of 0, left is already 0, maybe right of 0, it is not working. If we go absolute, then it would be a little messy case over here. So how exactly can I write ml full? Okay, let's search for the margin left styles. Margin left. Okay, so this is margin. Let us see all the cases. It has a lot of, okay, so we have a lot of stuffs over here. So let us check ml auto. Is this working? Yeah. So ml auto, the moment we added ml auto, it moved to left, and from empty we can give 12 pixels. Okay, and mr also 3. And what is the color? We want it to be white, so it has to be text white. Okay, this looks awesome. And maybe we can work a little more on the font sizes of these menu items. Let me see what I am missing. So if we check the menu items, nav items, I have some more classes. Let me put them over here. Yeah, this looks a lot better. Okay, and why are we having this horizontal? Let me debug. This is certainly not expected. Okay, maybe there was some issue, but right now I am not seeing anything. This is only horizontal scroll. Yeah, now if I move this back again, so you can see that, so in the desktop we have this hamburger again, so we have to prevent this hamburger from appearing in the what we say in the desktop. So for that we can definitely use hooks. Okay, and this is the place where things get really interesting. So let me create a custom hook. Okay, so we'll create a hook for us, and inside the src folder I'll create a new folder. I call this as hooks, and inside hooks, what is the hook we are going to create? So use window dimensions. Okay, so we are going to use window dimensions. So use window dot tsx. Okay, use window dimensions dot tsx. And should I paste everything? I think this would save a lot of time, and I'll tell you what we have just created. So this custom hook basically is a custom hook over here, and it says that whether it has a window or not. If window is present, then we have a function which gets the dimensions of the window, complete window, height and width, and this function returns height and width. Then we have a state variable where we initially put height and width of the window inside the state variable called as window dimensions, and then we have a derived variable. Okay, so is desktop and window dimensions width is not equal to null. Okay, so this is the part, otherwise true. So by default we are saying that this is desktop would be true. Okay, and if window dimension exists, then whatever this comparison returns, just return it. Okay, this is what we are saying. So screens greater than 640 pixels or equal to 640 pixels are counted as desktop screens, and below that we have mobile screens. And this is a really very simple part where we are saying that if it has a window, then we are setting the window dimensions to window dimensions. Then we are listening for resize events, and inside the resize events we are calling this function, and we are basically updating the height and width on every on every resize, and we are also removing the listener when it is done. Okay, so this was the use effect, and we have to use this custom hook over here, which would return us the value is desktop. So where exactly we have to do, we have to tweak it over here. So I'll just use const use window dimensions, and it is going to give us is desktop. The moment I save this, I may get an error that it is a server component and you cannot have this server component like this. So navigation bar is going to be our client component, so we can say use client and we are good. So if this is a desktop, then we don't render the hamburger. Okay, so if it is a desktop, so if not desktop, and we have to move this hamburger over here. Okay, save this. Now if I increase, the hamburger is gone. If I decrease, hamburger comes. Easy peasy. Okay, now on click of this hamburger, and this menu should not be opened by default. Okay, these guys should not be opened by default. Then what exactly can we do to achieve this? One way to do is that so this children is containing our entire navigation. Okay, so what we can do is we can do something like const show nav toggle nav use state. Okay, and by default let's just keep it as false. We don't have to show navigation. And over here, if show nav, then render the children. Okay, then we can remove the children from over here. Save this, and it is false. The moment I make it as true, they are visible. Okay. Okay, so now what I am planning to do over here, and let me add some margin bottom also. This is MT. Let's change this to MY. Yeah, this looks much better. Now on click of this, we should ideally toggle our nav. So I can say something like on click, we are triggering a function, and we say toggle nav not of show nav. Now if I check, you can see this is working, and hamburger ideally shall we add a cursor pointer? Yeah, I think maybe we can add it. So cursor pointer, let's say, and yeah, so you can see that the navigation menu is working really solid. Okay, and we are getting some error also. What is the error it is saying? There was a error while hydrating because the error happened outside the suspense boundary. The entire route will switch to client. Okay, let's just restart the server and see if we are still getting this. Okay, we are still getting this error. But this is a use client, right? Why is it complaining? Expect a server HTML to contain the matching svg in div. But this is a client component, right? Why is it why is it even bothering about it? If I get, maybe the problem lies with this component. If I, but okay, so let's just keep it as true. Okay, this is not complaining, but it is only complaining when we are having this hamburger menu. Okay, so the error is coming from hamburger itself. Okay, so it is complaining because it was injected by client. So on the desktop menu mode, it is not complaining, but on the mobile menu, when it is coming, it is complaining. So why is it complaining over here? Let us check. So this is a is desktop variable, and we are conditionally rendering. It should ideally it should ideally complain about this part also, because this is a dynamic content. But why is it complaining like this? Maybe there is some issue. I don't know. The error is really very strange. Okay. All right. So notice what is happening. The moment you are refreshing, this particular icon is coming afterwards. Okay, and this particular part, this part is coming from the server. Okay, let me check the request. So yeah, so let us refresh. So if we go to localhost 3000 request, can we see? So we can see that we are getting these your work project filters from the server. So this part is getting server rendered. Okay, because it is a children. This is strange. Okay, so what exactly shall we do over here? Shall we use suspense directly, or maybe what's the fix for this? Let's think. Okay, let's think actually. Okay, so one thing which I can think right now is, since this is getting asynchronous, okay, because this is awaiting, this thing is getting asynchronous. Maybe if I use suspense, okay, that this, we are telling React that this is going to be something asynchronous. And now over here, if I add a fallback, okay, and I'll see hamburger loading. Okay, is it working? This is not working, right? This is not working because there is no async operation. So now over here, I think this problem can be solved easily if I just use a use effect. Okay, and so what we have to do is we have to get on is desktop variable. Okay, so by default, if we are on a desktop, so if is desktop, okay, then toggle nav to be true. Okay, else toggle nav to be false. Okay, now if I just refresh, the error is still exists. I think I'll come back on this part later. I just need to figure out what exactly went wrong, and maybe I can also simplify this case with toggle nav width is desktop, and we can save this. And if I just go above the 640 and go below 640, this is working like a charm. Okay, so this was the static UI, and we are missing out on some other components like the search bar and other stubs, which will introduce as we progress. This was the static UI, and moving onward, we'll use config driven UI. So let's, in the next part of this particular video, let's see how we can create configs.